Gain 10 karma. The team hustles Raymond onto a subway car, quietly taking up defensive positions and scoping the platform for signs of pursuit. The old man is unsteady on his feet, but he insists on standing under his own power. He grabs a railing and holds on with white knuckles as the train lurches forward. A group of tourists sit nearby, conspicuously avoiding eye contact with any of you. Well, the trains have not been maintained very well, have they? What's going on there? Your crew looks over the old man with the bandage on the back of his head, exchanging meaningful expressions. Raymond squints at the odd group surrounding him, but his nod indicates that he understands he is among friends. Wu drags his goggles off his head, bending his knees to get a better look at his foster father. A tangled knot of relief, compassion, resentment, and hurt churns across the younger man's face as he wrestles with his confused emotions. Why is he here? I thought I left him back in Hihioi. Why are you here? Fear for his father's health overcomes them. Raymond, are you alright, little man? I fought against the reprogramming. Man, he looks even worse than before, look at him. The old man's voice is little more than a soft croak. His eyes are sunken and surrounded by dark circles. His mother's medical technology must be amazing. It's hard to believe he's walking under his own power so soon after the surgery. Yeah, well, Grandma's an amazing person, an amazing woman. Her high-tech brain surgery, her ownership of the cops, her execution of my partner and those runners. Wu's face hardens and stands up straight, glaring down at the older man. Oh, and the way she had the plastic-faced man snatch her own son, amazing woman. Duncan, can you, like, not get distracted? Let's just get some answers. Yeah, you're right. That's what I want more than anything. Pain and bitterness drip from Wu's deep raspy voice. This man, whoever he is, has a lot of explaining to do. Are you ready to start telling us the truth, Edward? The old man tilts his head up to the orc towering above him, and although exhausted, his jaw sets firm. Yes, Duncan, I'm ready to tell you everything. I had planned to explain it all when you arrived in Hong Kong. We're here now, Ray. You are here, and I'm grateful for all you have done for me, all that you needed to do. It's more than just exhaustion, the words are challenging for him to speak. The old man leans back on the wall of the subway car and gathers his thoughts. He seems to swoon for a moment, but then inhales deeply, swallows hard, and pulls himself erect. My name is Edward Zhang. I'm the only son of Josephine Zhang, the CEO of Zhang Mechanical Services, heir to the company. Before I left Hong Kong, I was the Vice President of Special Projects, the up-and-coming star of the company. Was prosperity one of your special projects? Something you've never seen before washes over the tired old man's face. Shame. You've heard of it. Prosperity. I see. Raymond takes a breath and the labored croak of his voice drops to a monotone. I was part of a project my mother envisioned to rebuild Kowloon Walled City. A walking neighborhood for underprivileged citizens, fully integrated with job training programs, co-op childcare, drug counseling centers. It was a new approach to low-income housing in the East, the springboard to prosperity for hundreds of thousands. Oh yeah? Yeah, that doesn't sound like the place I grew up in. Raymond is 20 years away, doesn't seem to hear her. Mother personally oversaw every aspect of the project to ensure that every detail was executed properly. Chose each project manager herself, chaired regular status meetings with architects, builders, visited the work site for surprise inspections. She was driven to make her renewed, revitalized Wall City a success. Uh-huh. So when did she find the Yama Kings? Yeah, well, she didn't do too well with the whole prosperity thing, did she? So that was prosperity, another low-income housing project. I mean, these... Why would you say any of these things? No, the walled city wasn't the prosperity project. Raymond covered his eyes with a liver-spotted hand. the dread radiating from him like the stink of decayed meat. Prosperity was something I built at the center of the walled city. Oh, it's something else? Then his head drops, his eyes roll back in his head, and his face goes slack. A moment later, an invisible grip takes hold of your chest, constricts it, squeezing the air from your lungs. What? Your vision grays from the edges, and the world surges backwards, leaving you suspended in the distance on the periphery of reality. Something is hurtling towards you, approaching from the fringe of your mind like a bullet train. It screams ahead, closer and closer until it is upon you, overwhelming you with its presence. And then nothing, silence. Until a scream pierces your consciousness, pulls you screaming to its source. You are back in the walled city, the city of darkness. Did Raymond just do that? What just happened? Oh, an actual animated sequence. The first time in the whole game. Your mind wrenches, inverts, and then violently jerks back into your skull. Your stomach cramps hard, and the taste of bile churns in your throat. A thin trickle of cold sweat slides down the small of your back, and your eyes refuse to focus. Your crew fares no better. Goblet pulls herself from the floor, madness and folly squeaking worriedly in the folds of her clothing. Isabel grips a railing, her back to the group, retching silently. Rector leans against Kosjay, his ashen face staring at the ceiling. He blinks rapidly, processing. Oh, even Rector got it? That's crazy, man. Gaichu stands perfectly still in the center of the car, hands at its sides, his face impassive. Oh, did Gaichu not get it? Wu breathes deeply, his hands on his knees. That wasn't a dream. He shakes his head like a lion's mane and spits on the floor. That was something else. Did Gaichu not get hit? Galbert's breathing is shallow. She is covered in a thin sheen of sweat. It was a vision. I saw some sort of machine inside the walled city. Isabel turns, squinting in concentration. Her lips are white. It was churning something. It felt wrong, impossible. I think it was ripping, I don't know. Reality. The orc girl shudders. It was ripping a hole in reality. Cool. Something is here, my friend. Something has arrived. What do you mean, in the car? I believe we have just fallen in over our heads. Gaichu, did you see it? Wu straightens up, drawing the back of a wrist across his mouth. What the hell was that, Raymond? No answer. Wu spins to find Raymond cowering, his head in his hands, shuddering and weeping. She's here. Place a hand on his shoulder. Breathe, Raymond, breathe. Shouldn't have waited. Shouldn't have hid. He looks up at you with bloodshot eyes. She's here, the queen with 1,000 teeth. Cool. Hey, animations. Raymond rocks in place, hugging himself, staring past you at someone only he can see. I left prosperity in there. I left prosperity in there. I left prosperity in there. Uh-oh. Looks like Raymond's gone bye-bye. Shush, Gobbet. Isabel whispers her admonishment. Take it easy, Raymond. You with me, Simon. The old man looks at you as if seeing you for the first time. Simon, you came. Raymond blinks his eyes open. His voice is weak, hesitant, disconnected somehow. Are we in the subway? The right corner of his mouth twitches noticeably. Why is he stuttering? He's not. I used to stutter, and this doesn't sound like a stutter to me. Something else is going on. Could be the visions, could be the aborted brain surgery, or some combination of the two. Something bad is happening, began a long time ago, and I'm responsible. His eyes opens wide. The Queen, Prosperity. What is Prosperity, Raymond? Why is all this happening? Raymond turns his head towards you, trying to focus. This is all because of me and my mother, something we did a long time ago. He puts a hand out and steadies himself on Wu's arm. My fault, Prosperity. All those people, those poor people. When you worked on the walled city. Yes, we rebuilt it in 2031, a new approach to... He fidgets with his gauze bandage, low-income housing. I was in charge of a special project, an experimental project. One that would help countless people if we were successful. If you were successful! If! Big if true, Raymond. Wu's tone gets a little sharper. We know, we already covered this, Raymond. Prosperity. Shame eclipses the old man's face. You know about Prosperity. He's stuck in a loop. Yes, sort of. Wu's tone gets a little sharper. We already covered this, Raymond. We know that it is in the center of the walled city and that Edward Zhang built it. Why don't you start at the beginning, Raymond? Tell us what all this is about. The beginning, sometime in the 20s. My mother was awarded the... He searches for the word. The contract! The contract to rebuild the housing development, the walled city. Well, from the results, I say your mom kind of blew it. Prosperity failed. Maybe it didn't, Gobbet. Frustration appears in the old man's tired eyes. I told you, the walled city wasn't the Prosperity project. Prosperity was the fortune engine I built at the center of the walled city, my special project. Fortune engine. Fortune engine? What are you talking about? Wu sneers. You can't create fortune, Raymond. Oh, I think you can. Here in the 6th world, anything is possible, Duncan. You kinda can, Gunshow. Some practitioners of feng shui believe they can do it. Ever heard of the Bagua of the 8 aspirations? Wu looks at Gobbet flatly. No, Gobbet, I must have skipped school that day. Keep going, Gobbet, I want to hear this. Gobbet wrinkles her nose at Wu. It's neo-feng shui. The masters of the craft can map the flow of qi and how it corresponds to different aspects in someone's life. Fame, relationships, creativity, inner knowledge, health, and fortune. Fortune. That's 6. I thought you said there were 8 aspects. The little orc shrugs. I don't remember the other 2, but one of them was definitely fortune. She looks sidelong at Raymond. So what does your fortune engine do? The fortune engine was designed to improve the balance of qi in a negative qi environment. A negative qi environment. That's the walled city. Somewhere shitty, like a slum. Raymond corrects her, like a low-income housing project. I believed that with the fortune engine, the rebuilt walled city might never become a slum. He drifts off for a moment, remembering. Then he squeezes his eyes shut and lowers his head, but the machine malfunctioned. Malfunction? How does this thing work in the first place? I just want to listen to the whole story, right? Raymond rises slowly, pulling himself from his crumpled heap. His tone turns instructive, like the old Raymond, but this time his explanation is halting and weary. Think of the fortune engine as a sort of propeller blade moving through astral space, circulating qi, keeping it fresh. Right. When qi flows, when the rhythm is right, the results are positive, fortuitous. Right. When I brought my design for the fortune engine to my mother, she embraced it. She more than embraced it, she bankrolled it. Put an entire division of Zhang Mechanical under me to develop it. Sounds like a big bet. Raymond nods rapidly, the biggest of her career. Mother said that if the machine could bring fortune to the less fortunate, it would prove my theory. And if it could help the poor, imagine what a fortune engine could do for Josephine Sang. Wu's jaw clenches, but that's not what happened, was it? Something went wrong. The people in the walled city didn't benefit from your fortune engine, did they, Raymond? The old man bows his head, doesn't answer. Raymond, why didn't your fortune engine work? It got stuck. He doesn't raise his head. The mechanism I created to circulate negative chi in the walled city got stuck. Got stuck? You can see Raymond's patience blowing away. You can see Wu's patience blowing away like autumn leaves in a high wind. He rubs his head viscously in frustration. Stuck on what, Raymond? The old man gets a confused look on his face. His lips move soundlessly for several moments. Wu leans in close, drops to a whisper, sees in his foster father's face. Stuck on what? Raymond winces at Wu's tone and stumbles back a step, but it does the job and the old man focuses. Something in astral space, I wasn't sure what. That sounds bad. It got stuck on the Yama Kings, obviously. The machine started pooling negative chi. The old man's breathing begins to accelerate, and the walled city started to fill with it. Fortunes turned bad. Couldn't you stop the thing? I have been in places where the feng shui was really bad. That's not what I felt when I was in the walled city. No, chi needs to flow. Eventually, the enormous pool of negative chi became toxic. Fortunes turned from bad to worse, much worse. Why didn't you stop the machine? Raymond's shoulders slump. Mother's vision for a rebuilt, revitalized walled city fell to ruin. It only took a few years for the trapped toxic chi to turn a brand new housing development into a hellish slum. Why didn't you turn it off? Why didn't you turn it off? I couldn't. Something happened, part of the malfunction. We couldn't turn it off. You did what? Then why did you blow it up? Wrap it in C6 and turn it into a scrap heap? Mother refused. I think your mother... What did it? I don't think it malfunctioned. I think your mother sabotaged it, Raymond. Wu's tone turns icy cold. Why? I never found out. She wouldn't tell me. She would only say that it wasn't worth spending the additional resources to figure out how to fix it, or even how to turn it off. I don't think that's how the chi engine works. I think you have to pull the negative chi somewhere in order to have excess positive chi elsewhere. Words start spilling out of the old man. She sealed off the maintenance room. Our engineers poured a sarcophagus of thick concrete around it so no one would ever find out what we had done. Then she wrote the project off as a business loss and moved on like nothing ever happened, right? Yes, his face flushes and he fidgets with the gauze bandage on his head. After that I left Seattle, started a new life in Seattle. I left Hong Kong, started a new life in Seattle, found you two. You should have stayed! Try to do something about it. Wu grimaces disappointed. You were a coward, Raymond. Yes. Raymond stands up straight, takes a shaky step towards Wu. Yes, Duncan, I was a coward. And the guilt, the burden of my cowardice, gripped me like a vice that never loosened. It's eaten me from the inside for 20 years. He licks his lips, tries to breathe. And then the nightmares began, horrible. Still, I kept working on the problem night and day. Did you ever figure out how to stop it? It took me years, even after you left, to make the connections, find what to do, but I did, I figured it out. And still the nightmares intensified until they became unbearable. I knew I had to come back, fix what I had done. That's why I contacted you to help me see it through. Wu mumbles something, but all you can make out is the word coward. Wu, man, Duncan needs to like get over himself. What about this rip in reality we saw in our vision? Raymond's voice flattened. When the machine malfunctioned, when the circulator became stuck in astrospace, it lodged in another domain. He sways and his lips began to tremble. And something lived there. Oh. Oh, you hit something in astrospace with your machine, is that right? Not good. Yeah, I know, Gobbet, I can tell. The old man begins to drift. After 20 years of constant force, the circulator finally began tearing astrospace, created a rupture in her domain. And now she's pushing through, and now she's pushing through, and now she's pushing through. Cool. Yeah, she's pushing through, alright. The queen with 1,000 fucking teeth. A thing you brought here, Raymond. No, it wasn't Raymond, Duncan. It was Josephine. Josephine was the one who sealed it, but kept the thing running. Raymond stops his rocking and becomes fully lucid. He snaps back at Wu. I understand that, Mr. Wu. That's why I came back. I believe she is only partially here. She hasn't pushed all the way through yet. She's probing her new hunting ground. Must. The emotional strain of his snap at Wu rattles him again. I know what to do now, how to extract the circulator, shut the machine down before she can fully manifest. What if we let her come through? What are the consequences if we do nothing and just let her come through? Like, I mean, I understand that's probably not a good idea, but I just want to know what the options are, you know what I mean? What happens if she comes through? What could possibly go wrong? I mean, you can always do nothing. Like, there's always the option to just do nothing. Just get me to the center of the walled city, to the fortune engine. I will do the rest. Please help me. Help them. It's interesting that they give you 5 ways to say yes. I'm gonna choose the one that I agree with the most. That machine has caused unspeakable misery. It needs to be shut down. Whatever misery the machine's caused is nothing compared to what is gonna happen now. The little decker's eyes open wide, more white than iris. It's not just a thing in there, SCKC. It's a Yama King, a demon goddess. You said you don't believe in Yama Kings, Isabel. Her breathing becomes faster, shallower. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can go back in there. I mean, fair enough, but we're trapped is, we can't run, and believe me, I want to. It's all I've been thinking of. The rat shaman's shoulders rise with tension, but the APB is still out on us, and those visions. I've got a feeling they're not gonna stop unless we make them stop. And that fragile old man's the only way to do it. We've gotta take him in there, we've gotta help him fix this. Hey, this story is really great. This whole Yama King thing is really great. I, for one, wish to see this fortune engine. I am intrigued. Rector's pale eyes glint. I willingly go. Hey Rector, you know, the queen with 1,000 teeth, you know she eats people, right? I mean, there is a non-zero chance that she eats you. Gaichu's face remains impassive, but his eyelids lower in anticipation. I have the opportunity to kill a god. I cannot allow the opportunity to pass unanswered. Good man, Gaichu. Well, Gaichu also eats people. I guess he understands what he's getting into. I hate this country, I hate this life. Wu sets his jaw and hooks his thumb into his belt. He stares evenly at Raymond, his voice cold, but I owe you, Raymond. And I'm not walking away from that. I intend to make us even. I'll help you fix your mess or die trying. Whatever, Duncan.